Welcome to this introductory video for week 1 of 7373 Feedback and Assessment. I want to walk you through the 4 activities in week 1 and in particular talk a bit about the rubric that you're going to be using as a part of your assignment for the 1.2 activity. So we're starting here on the week 1 website. You'll have 4 activities this week, so it's going to move fairly quickly. 2 of them hopefully won't be too onerous. The first one is to introduce yourself. So you're going to go onto our Blackboard site, just write a basic introductory post that answers these questions, and then make a copy of this learning grid template. The instructions are at the top of this, and fill this out to add in as an attachment in your introductory discussion board post. So to make a copy, you just go up to File, make a copy. You should be able to do that. You probably have done this already in a previous OWI course. I don't think we have any newbies in this section. And then go in and just assess your learning gaps in those 3 areas, kind of using these course outcomes to map your skills gaps, knowledge gaps, motivation, attitude gaps. You've done this before, so it shouldn't be too different from the ones you've done in previous courses. I also set up your course partners here. You'll be working with these individuals throughout the class, modeling or role-playing instructors and students. So make sure you get in touch with your course partner early in week 1 and set up some times that you can do your week 2 activities. So the first big activity is the online writing assignment. That's the major project that I talk about in the intro to the course video. This area just describes it a little bit further. And the thing I want to focus on in this video related to this assignment are going to be the rubric in particular. So if you'll see under number 4 here, create a rubric using the learning outcomes for the assignment, I include a rubric template, and I'm going to click on that and talk to you just a little bit. The template is created based on the rubric that Beth Hewitt includes in Chapter 8 of her online writing conference book. And I'm going to pull this up real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about when I say it's based on her template. She gives this example of an essay rubric and global commentary template. And here's how she uses this template. She uses this both for formative and summative feedback. So every time she gives a student an essay back, they have this rubric on the end of it. And I'll explain this a little bit. Basically, she works from higher order skills, so content, organization are the highest order skills, down to lower order concerns. And how she uses this rubric in practice is for every time she gives the student feedback, she gives them a check mark in the area that they meet on that revision of the assignment. And then as she assesses that or gives additional feedback, she modifies that. So this would be where the student started on essay meets requirements for length, and this is where the student wound up. So she uses the same rubric twice and maps student learning as students turn in revisions. So every check mark is a first draft, a check mark with a slash through it is a second draft, so students can see how well they're doing as they move from lower to higher order concerns. She puts higher order concerns first because she wants students to address those first. She assesses, as you can see, all of the higher and lower order concerns both times, but she focuses her global feedback on her formative assessment or formative feedback on primarily higher order concerns. So this can kind of help you if you're really struggling with giving feedback and you kind of feel pulled into the lower order categories because it feels more comfortable maybe to give feedback on lower order concerns, grammar, mechanics. This rubric can help force you back up to addressing content issues and organization issues first in your global feedback and focusing on those for students to revise their essays. So that's her model. You can see that in Chapter 8. And all I did was take the headings here, the basic competencies, and the headings over here directly from hers. You can modify these to meet your particular assignment requirements. All that I ask is that in these top 2 areas that you can continue to address higher order concerns. Spell out your competencies. Make sure these competencies line up with your learning outcomes for your assignment so we can assess those. And then if you want to modify these, that's fine, but I'd rather you just kind of, for the practice of working in this kind of formative feedback rubric assignment process, that you just leave those 3 categories for now. Of course, you don't have to use this with your full assignment when you go live with this in a real class, but this kind of helps us create a rubric that practices the same concepts that Hewitt talks about throughout her books in the course. I'm going to go back to the website now. The last 2 activities are actually preparation for week 2. In week 2, you're going to be doing a synchronous conference with a classmate, with your student. So the 1.3 activity should be super simple. Just find your class partner, email them, get to know them a little bit, and set up a time when the both of you could do individual conferences. So you could do these separately. Let's say Lynn and Cynthia are a pair. We might do Lynn's instructor conference on Tuesday, Cynthia's on Wednesday, or you can do them back to back at the same time. Each individual conference should take no longer than 30 minutes to set up, conduct, and debrief. And I'd like you to just let me know when you and your partner have scheduled time so that I can be available for technical support if possible. And then the last activity this week is actually setting up and preparing for week 2. So you're going to invite your student to a video conference. These initial video conferences should be about brainstorming, organizing, understanding the assignment, kind of the initial tasks. Assume your student's struggling a little bit getting into this project, and you need to have a meeting to walk through and clarify the assignment for them. So use the guidelines established by Beth Hewitt in setting up your synchronous conference. Make sure that you include these 3 elements in the email. So how the student should attend the conference. In other words, give them a link to a Zoom meeting conference. Include what will be covered during the conference, and then include what the student should do to prepare for the conference. I'm going to flash you ahead, and I'll put the link in this website as well, to week 2. You'll probably need to use these 2 weeks of the website together as you're setting up your conference. The synchronous video conference instructions in 2.1 activity will help you to get started with Zoom, set up a meeting, and I give pretty detailed instructions with links and tutorials here to help you prepare for that meeting. So week 1 is actually the formal email, the first role play you'll do to set up for that week 2 conference. If you have any questions, or you're feeling nervous about using Zoom and you'd like to do a practice run with me, let me know as soon as possible. I'll be at a conference in Kansas City this week, but I can step aside and pull out my computer and do some practice work with you. Or between week 1 and week 2 is spring break, and I will be available to do practice runs then. So it'll give you about a week between when you set up your conference with your student and when you actually should do your student conference to get you prepared and ready to do that conference. So that's kind of why I do that, is hopefully it gives you an extra week of padding to prepare you to do the technology work in this conference. Let me know if you have any questions at all about week 1. It's kind of jumping right into the middle of things and getting started. But again, I'm really looking forward to working with you guys in this course, and I think we're going to do a lot of great work on feedback and assessment. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later.